Welcome to Take Off Your Shoes. My name is Reverend Marie Duquette. I'm an ordained minister in the Lutheran tradition, and I believe that where my story, your story, and God's story meet, there is holy ground. The Holy Gospel according to Luke, the 20th chapter.
Glory to you, Lord.
Some Sadducees, those who say there is no resurrection, came to Jesus and asked him a question. Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, leaving a wife but no children, the man shall marry the widow and raise up children for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first married and died childless, then the second, and the third married her, and so in the same way all 7 died childless. Finally, the woman also died. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife will the woman be? For the 7 had married her. Jesus said to them, those who belong to this age marry and are given in marriage. But those who are considered worthy of a place in that age and in the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. Indeed, they cannot die anymore, because they are like angels and are children of God, being children of the resurrection. And the fact that the dead are raised, Moses himself showed in the story about the bush, where he speaks of the Lord as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now he is God not of the dead, but of the living, for to him all of them are alive. This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Please be seated. Last week, when I was so rudely interrupted by my own self, I was talking about death, the mystery of death, All Saints Sunday, a time when we very deliberately in the church remember those who have died. And I was talking about the fact that we shy away from conversations about death, and All Saints frees us. It's a day when we can talk about it with no concern at all. It is the theme of the day. This week, the Sadducees kind of consider the theme about death, but they have this convoluted question that has to do with marriage after death. It seems they are trying to get Jesus to admit that since there's no easy answer to who the widow is married to, resurrection obviously isn't a thing. Kudos to Jesus for not taking the bait. I can personally think of several responses if I had been standing where Jesus was and was hit with this question about 7 different brothers all being married to the same woman, all dying, and who will she be married to in the afterlife? My first question might be, maybe we should ask her. Closely followed by, why would you even ask that? Or, you are really missing the point of life. Or, is this some kind of confession? Or, do you want to debate Levitical laws about marriage? And perhaps most importantly, why did all these husbands married to one woman die? Today's gospel is how we listen to one another. But even more than that, it's about how we listen to ourselves and what we can learn by the questions people, including ourselves, ask. I'm going to tell you a kind of a personal story about something that happened this week that I think illustrates the point. I was sitting in my chair and looked down next to me on my table, and there was my Blue Cross insurance card. And I had a series of thoughts. 1, why is this card here? It belongs in my wallet. 2, where is my wallet? It's in my new purse. 3, where is your new purse? It's downstairs. 4, why did Sass take my Blue Cross card out and put it here? It belongs in my purse. 5, I remember telling her that she could get it out of my wallet when she went to the drugstore. 6, but why wouldn't she put it back in my wallet where it belongs? 7, how would it be if I didn't have any insurance? 8, how many people don't even have this issue because they don't have any insurance? And if you don't have it, how do you even get the medication you need? 9, how long can I sit here and think of questions before I get up and put this where it belongs so that I can find it when I need it? And so it goes. The reason that I wanted to mention this is the point at which I had a breakthrough was when I started asking myself, why am I anxious about this? Why am I sitting here worried, bothered, blamey? What is that all about? The truth is, as we get older, we don't remember as well. We don't hear as well. We don't see as well. And all these things make us want to hold more closely to our routines because the routines give us a sense of control. And when our routines are changed by ourselves or someone else, it's disturbing, more so certainly than it was when we were younger and were a little bit more adaptable. My anxiety with all those questions wasn't really about Deb not returning the card to my wallet, as much as it was, if I don't put this in my wallet right now, I may well lose it. It's a simple illustration. It's one that happens in millions and millions of lives and homes every day. Maybe not about a Blue Cross card, but about something. And that leads me back to the Sadducees' questions about who is married to whom. Why are they asking the question? What is the question under the question that they really want to get at the answer to? A friend of mine, Marin Tirabassi, wrote somewhat of a poem about this passage that I want to share with you because it too reinforces this idea of a question under the question. She writes, all wealthy men, the Sadducees, who are defined by not believing in any afterlife, tell their story of a woman whose welfare status required her to marry 7 brothers. They tell it like the poverty of women is half stand-up comedy joke, half trap for the out-of-town prophet. Under that facade, Jesus answers the question we all have, how will I be resurrected? Will I be the child playing or fearful, the restless teen, the lover, a worried parent, the working too hard professional? Will I be the person from the years I was so disappointed by life, or never sober, or in the wrong marriage, or living with dementia or cancer? Many, probably more than 7, are the people most of us have been. So which will it be when we meet? When we meet the Holy One in the place without time? And Jesus says, you're asking the wrong question. They're asking the wrong question. What question do you suppose they really want to ask if they were to sit in their chair next to their table, wanting to trip up Jesus, but ask themselves instead, why do I want to ask this question? Did they want to know what would happen to those who did not fulfill the law? Did they want to know if they would have companions in life after life? Were they wondering, we, the Sadducees, do not believe in the resurrection, so what happens to us? There's always a question under a question. Now notice how Jesus responds, gently, curiously, honestly. Jesus hears the thing under the thing. The question about the legality of who he's married to whom in the next life is not the real question. They act like it's their concern. But Jesus looks below their, frankly, ridiculous question. He knows the thing that is under the thing. This question of marriage and death is really the Sadducees wanting to engage with Jesus, wanting to connect with Jesus, wanting to have a conversation that might bring them closer. They might not even know that's what they want. They want to be reassured about death. They want to talk specifics like the earthly legalities of relationships after resurrection. They wanted to know the rules about something they couldn't understand. They wanted to understand it. Jesus replies to their hearts, not their brains. Jesus says, people in the world get married, but in the future world, no one who is worthy to rise from death will either marry or die. They will be like the angels and will be God's children because they have been raised to life. In the story about the burning bush, Moses clearly shows that people will live again. He said the Lord is the God worshipped by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the Lord isn't the God of the dead, but of the living, says Jesus. This means that everyone is alive as far as God is concerned. Jesus tells them God cares for those in this world and the next. Jesus speaks of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as people who still worship God, suggesting they must still be alive in some way, because our God is the God of life, is the God of the living. Jesus tells them, while you're here, live. Do not burden yourselves with worries about the law, about the rules, about things you cannot control. While you are here, focus on one another, lean into one another, on loving one another. Focus on hearing and seeing one another through a filter of mercy. When we do this, when we focus on life, when we give others, especially those we live with, who are easy to take for granted, when we give them grace, compassion, we can find a sense of joy and a sense of calm that no rules or laws or human-made institutions provide. In the words of my colleague Laura Martin, when we live, when we focus on life, when we take the time to look more deeply, sometimes we get to stop and rejoice. The mustard seed has grown into a tree. Birds of many colors live in its branches. The lost coin is found in the last place you expected. The prodigal comes home, ready to talk. The cup that used to be empty has been filled again, and not by you. The fig tree is bearing fruit. An angel who gets up early has watched all this and is drinking her coffee when she says to you, keep going, there's still more.